of my helping some of the young guys, including Adrian, put on real bow ties. So all of our guys in the audience were wearing bow ties that night. So that was cute. That was neat. And I think I got them all back because I was having to lend them out pretty good. And they were some of my best ones. I think I got them all back. Anyway, I wish I could say that the debates with Yusuf Ismail are going to be extremely useful and all the rest of that stuff. Now, were they a complete waste of time? No. But the topics were really cool. The potentiality of those debates was very high. But they remain potentiality. They didn't actually end up being what they could have been. And the topics were great. War and peace in the Bible and the Quran, and the Synoptic Gospels and the parallel accounts within the Quran. What do they tell us about the nature of our scriptures, inspiration, and do we use even scales? Do we use double standards? Now, the first topic, it wasn't that it's unusual. There's been lots of debates on the issue of is Islam a religion of peace or a religion of violence or things like that. Lots of debates on that. And anyone should realize I'm not going to just redo that debate. I want to get to something more foundational and basic. What I wanted to do was to recognize that both of our scriptures have texts that speak of violence. We have the destruction of the Midianites and the passages in 1 Samuel 15 and Deuteronomy and Leviticus and things like that, in the Israel coming into the land and so on and so forth. And there's even some New Testament texts, Jesus' parable, but bring those who would not have me to rule over them, bring them before me and slay them before my eyes. And you go to the book of Revelation, and Jesus rules over the nations with a rod of iron, and in Revelation chapter 19, so on and so forth. So you've got stuff like that. You've got stuff like that. And so I wanted to honestly recognize the existence of these texts and then ask a fundamental question. How do our texts speak to how we have peace with God and how we should have peace in this world? How do they do that? What's the mechanism? What's the process? And I think one of my greatest disappointments is that I actually had hoped that Yusuf Ismail was making progress toward recognizing the need to do these kinds of things. I had listened to his talk, which he had done in 2014, against ISIS. And even though in the past, Yusuf has, both debates we've done in the past, and whether it was 2 debates or 4 debates, that depends on how you want to count them, had done the I will use any source that will support my side type argumentation. We had demonstrated beyond all question his misrepresentation of Dan Wallace. I mean, Dan Wallace demonstrated beyond all question his misrepresentation of Dan Wallace. When you can get Dan Wallace to do that, I don't think there's any argument, but Yusuf is still trying to argue that one amazingly. But he also does the shotgun thing. You throw out, 20 different topics that can never be meaningfully addressed in a debate. Just make a bunch of assertions. But my hope was that we were making progress toward the necessity of being able to address some topics that no one else is talking about. He's a smart man. He's an attorney. And I think a lot of my disappointment is just that He just has obviously refused to go there, and if anything, got worse, not better, in these last two debates. And I expected fully, for example, a discussion of the texts in the Bible about violence. It's perfectly logical to do that. What I didn't expect, for example, the first night, was for the first 5 minutes of his presentation to be about Miguel Cervantes. Yeah. I wonder who suggested that one. Yeah, you know, the first night wasn't overly bad until the end. What Yusuf likes to do is, what he did was he said, well, Jay Smith said this. Jay Smith said that Western culture has been influenced by Christian values. And so here's what Western culture does. And he starts putting pictures of deformed and dead babies on the screen that have been killed by depleted uranium bombs by the U.S. military. Now, you know, it would have been really easy for me to have put up all sorts of decapitated heads and people shouting Allahu Akbar, sawing people's heads off, and ISIS having little kids do the same thing. I could have filled my time with stuff to inflame the emotions and numb the mind. But I thought, maybe, possibly, there might be some Muslims on the other side that are sick and tired of the violence and might actually, maybe, want to attend a debate where we actually used our minds rather than inflaming emotions. Silly me. Oh, I'll take that back. Maybe there were Muslims there. But their representative decided, nah, let's not go there. Let's do the dead baby pictures thing. But that was nothing compared to the second night. Cervantes, I can handle Cervantes. You know, throwing out canards and misrepresentations and ignoring history and all the rest of that stuff, it's nothing new about that.